my geeky specialist friends. Guess who I'm on here with? Oh, it got darker suddenly. Oh, got darker. No, I'm on here with my partner in love and crime. And if you don't know me, I'm Pip. Seymour Digital Media. We do search engine marketing. And this guy, oh, that way. Okay, there. Oh, there you go. That way.
Other way. Yeah, you had it right the first time. Yeah. My name is Phelan Lewis. Obviously, I work with Pip, as she said, Seymour Digital Media. And today we are going to be talking about audits. What are they, why you should do them, and what type of audits you should be doing for your business.
Ooh, audits. I find this
Yeah.
topic super entertaining. If you're joining us now or on the replay, say hello, even hashtag hi, because we want to talk to you about what you know about audits. Phelan, we do a lot of audits,
Mhm.
like a ton. Like
Yes.
it's like something that, and we're a little different than some other business. I mean, I don't know what every other business does, but we definitely do a more granular approach. Let's say we're not using really too many softwares just to, I mean, you can press a button and you can go to many websites that'll say get an audit for free, and they're getting your phone number and stuff like that. But I find, I don't know what you find, but I find that that is doesn't get you all the nitty gritty you need. But before we get into that, let's talk about the types of audits. So give me a list, rundown. What do you think?
Well, I'd even go, let back up a little to even what is the audit. Just at its fundamental. Um,
Somebody just said I have to audit my kitchen.
and so,
Who is that? I love you. I have to do the same thing. Audits, they happen to.
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
And
I'm going
so
to
their audits are definitely,
list them.
starting with like the fundamentals. No, we got to back up the fundamentals. We didn't answer the what
Oh,
before
what?
we jump into the list.
Okay, what is the what? What?
Uh, yeah,
What?
and so the audit is it the what is the idea of finding out where you are. So the idea is that basically you're trying to map out where you are, and so in order for you to know where you're going. And to build on that, the why are we doing this is because we've learned through a lot of trial and a lot of error that anytime someone signs you up for a particular service, you you can't trust them. It's not anything to do with that it's their fault. It's just you can't trust them, and so you'll need to go and verify this stuff or find out what actually is going on. And the analogy I always use is anytime when I was doing construction that you want, but as soon as you open up the walls and actually take a look, then you don't know what's going on in there.
It's true. It is true. So you know who said the I have to audit my kitchen for food? It's Greg Pants. He gets the word pants after his name because he's being funny. Um, so yeah, we've come into a lot of situations. I mean, when we started out, I wouldn't say we didn't know what we were doing, but we were hungry, and so we took us a long time to figure out that a couple things. One was that no matter what, you want to do an audit, and no matter what people say, that should be one of the first things on your list to do. Now, I don't know what people do with websites before they do a new website, right? If they have an old website, like, is there an audit involved in that? So that's a question for you and Greg one day. But I find that oftentimes, people say, we've had people come to us wanting social media and then realizing that no, they actually need help dealing with yellow pages. Like, it's that far apart, right? It's quite
Yeah.
interesting. So, and we do audits to find out where things are at so we can know when or how we're going to move forward. You're kind of blurry there, buddy, by the way. I don't know what's going on. It
Yeah,
doesn't
the
matter.
internet has the internet is a little spotty back here. I got to make some adjustments.
Dicey. But
But
you're
for the
there,
time,
right? So
yeah,
good.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we found, so this is also a strategy that we got listening to the Agency Journey podcast, because that's the one that they advocate for,
Mhm.
is doing the audit and doing a discovery of what's actually going on with the client or even your own site, because no matter what, you need to go and figure this stuff out, because you may find, like, I think we had a site we were building, and then the client, she deleted the blog post that was getting her the most traffic because
Right.
she thought it wasn't relevant.
That's so as a
Yeah.
business owner,
So
that
there
was
are things like that where,
and discovering that was really interesting
yeah,
because
it's super important.
we had so what did we use? We use Ahrefs has a one of the audits we use is not plugging things into Ahrefs, but using something Ahrefs taught us that we use with a Google Sheet and Google Search Console, and that is our content audit. So that brings us right into the types of audits. We're going to list off a bunch. You will have to answer the website audit stuff, but so we have a Google Ads audit that we do. We have a Google My Business audit. We have a content audit, a technical audit, a Google Analytics audit, a tag manager audit. What else we got? Did I miss any? Keyword
Well, the
audit.
technical one is, yeah, well, keyword and competitors. We also have conversion rate optimization audit.
Hmm.
And then the technical audit also has on page SEO. So when we're doing one, we're kind of doing the other as well.
So we customize
And we're
audits too.
using the same tool.
Yeah. Yeah. We customize them.
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
And that's because each
Yeah.
business is
And,
slightly different. What does
yeah,
an
go
audit get
ahead.
you? What does
Sorry.
an audit get you? Oh, you have a lag. I'm well ahead of the curve here. Yes. Just keep talking.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
I can keep talking.
It just cut out there for a minute. Yeah, and so, yeah, with our audits, like, again, yeah, it kind of depends on who the client is, right? Are they doing, are they lead generation or are they e-commerce, right? That's going to be a big factor in how you actually go about the audit and what they're doing. You're also going to be spending a lot of time in the Google Analytics, no, pretty much no matter what audit it is, because that's going to tell you a lot of sources of traffic coming to their site, how many completions, all these kind of details about it. Um, so, that's kind of the first part, is just checking out in Google Analytics.
Now the funny thing about the audits is as each audit is different, one of the most important things we do is a competitor audit, right? Matched with our keyword audit. And I think that's where we maybe change from other people because, when you're doing SEO, you don't. It's great. I can find you a ton of keywords to try to rank for. I can find you short tail. I can find you long tail. If you got questions about that, just message me. But the reality is that if I pick a keyword and Walmart as going after that keyword for organic SEO, um, the reality is I'm not going to win, and so I would be doing a huge disservice picking that as a keyword. So when you do like a keyword audit for what they're ranking for, you want to see can they even like get higher on the page for that, right? On the search engine results pages, that is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's where it comes in, where it's not just, you need to look at it holistically. So it's not just like one component. The audit is trying to figure out everything that's kind of going on for their website, of, pages that are working, traffic sources that are converting or spending, engaging a lot, and then drill down into where you can get more of that so that they can spend more time doing that. Like um, the other tool that we would use when you're doing the keyword research that would pair with that is doing the on page. So what's already been done with the website? Have they optimized page titles? Have they optimized descriptions? How many links are there on the pages? Those sort of things. And it's really, the tool we always recommend using is called Screaming Frog.
mm,
It's just a desktop app that you can run through a page or your website, and it runs through all the pages. Really good for finding out if you've got 404s, anything like that,
and
as well as, like, page titles and meta descriptions that need to get optimized.
the great thing about the Screaming Frog is too. If you're just starting out, it's a great free tool. Like it's got a really robust free tool, right? And then eventually you'll want the paid
Yeah.
tool. But if you're just starting out, free first, right? That's the goal. Um, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Well, I'd even like right now, the biggest we haven't even renewed our subscription because it hasn't become necessary because
oh,
the biggest part is checking your structured data. And we haven't even needed that because now with schema.org actually has a really good schema validator, like way beats Google's out of the water. It's not even funny. And so it's definitely one. So it's validator.schema.org. I'll leave a link to it in the comments. Really good for I used it for some just weird it was like tourism stuff that we were doing. And so it would validate that. Google wouldn't even recognize it. So yeah, the validator there is really good and really helps you out. So that's but of course that's a more technical. I wouldn't start there, but Screaming Frog for just doing checking out how your site's doing, broken links, all that good stuff, a really good place to get started there.
now maybe somebody here is like, well, I just deal with my own stuff. Like, why do I need to do an audit? And we do recommend you kind of try to audit your stuff yearly or quarterly or 6 months. Just, yeah, it's good to look back. It's good to set up reporting. I mean, we're in SEO mainly and Google Ads, so we definitely believe in that stuff. But Phelan, so it's one thing to say, hey, you should do an audit, and here is, kind of you want to know where you've been, right? But
Yeah.
why is it so beneficial to us as marketers? Oh, good question.
Yeah, so it's also helpful yeah, just like you were saying, so I'd even build on that of like if you're doing any paid advertising, you want to know are you getting your return on ad spend? And the only way to do that is by kind of auditing what's working, what's not working. This campaign drove a lot of traffic but no sales. We've seen that where someone was driving a ton of traffic with Instagram ads and it had a conversion rate of like 0.01%. It was just there was no one was buying from the Instagram ads. Everyone was clicking, everyone was visiting, and you wouldn't know that part unless you went through and kind of did oh, is this campaign working? And you actually have to audit. Well, I spent much, but I didn't get anything in return for it. Whereas maybe your Google Ads is actually proven to be a lot better on a high price point item rather than your kind of average one that you're running the ads to. So you need to look at these things and look at what's actually getting you your return on ad spend, what's converting. Because again, you could have something that's driving a lot of traffic, but it's not converting. Well, that also tells you that there's something on the page. So that goes into conversion rate optimization,
And that's a really hard
where you can start to work down like a e-commerce funnel that they went.
I know you're
Pardon?
Oh, you're getting a delay, and I just interrupt you randomly. But I was saying it's a hard conversation. The telling a client, hey, you get enough traffic. Don't worry about more traffic. That's not your problem. Your problem is that your traffic is not converting. They're not doing what you want, and getting somebody into the space and thinking like that is probably one of the harder conversations I think we've had to have related to an audit. Um, I also think that
Yeah,
a good idea is to, and this is even for us too, if you work with a Google Ads company or an SEO company, it is good to have another company or that company in itself go in every 6 months and are they doing a good job? Are we doing a good job? Do we need to change our strategy? As the markets change, we have to change. Like, you know, what, how many years ago was TikTok a big thing? There weren't reels before. Google My Business wasn't a thing 5 years ago. So strategies and what your how your business functions online has to be reviewed, right? To make the best effort foot
yeah,
forward. So after you do an audit, so there's one thing. So we kind of start our audit. I was thinking about this. We kind of start our audit before our first phone call with the client, which is really funny because before we get on a sales call with somebody, before we sell them anything, we need to know a couple things. And we can actually tell those things using some Chrome extensions, right? We can tell if you have Tag Manager set up. We can tell if you have Google Analytics. We can tell if you have more than one Google Analytics tag, or if you have conversion
or
track
if it's even working.
ads. Yeah, or if it's working. So, and this gives us that little leg up to know, because some people will think, oh, I've got my conversion tracking all set up. I actually heard that yesterday. And I was like, well, you have two tag managers on your site and you're doing Google Ads and you don't know if it's getting you clients and I don't see you tracking. Um, so there's, yeah. And this is the thing about hiring experts, right? I think initially in our businesses, we have to like try really hard and do a lot of things ourselves. But as we get further along, we gotta turn to the experts, because the experts will do an expert job at stuff. So um I think that it's just ever so important. So we do our auditing kind of at the beginning, even the sales call, but once we do the audit, it gives us the future roadmap. That's what it does, right, Phelan?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, building on what you're saying, that yeah, we kind of do a cursory glance of just looking through, have you set up any of your tracking. So first stage is, it's almost like, true false statements is kind of what you're doing. Like, oh, are these things all set up? Yes or no. So you kind of have a cursory idea of like, oh, okay, they're at this point, maybe we need to make some adjustments here. It also is a great opportunity for you to provide value right out of the gate of saying, hey, look, no matter what happens, like you guys didn't have your Google Analytics isn't working. You might want to look into that. So it's another way that you can prove value to someone that you haven't even completed the sale or anything like that. So it's a really good way to build some trust and show that you actually looked at their site. You actually do care about what was going on with their site. And so that's something that you can add there. And then from once you build into that, you can start to see again, like what's broken, what's working, what's not working. You know, um, you have a page that's driving a lot of traffic, but there's no call to action on the page. There's things like that where you can see like one page, it's usually one or two pages gets most of the traffic, and you've just got to figure out, okay, is this actually doing the thing that the client thinks it's doing?
I like that conversation, the one of, so we're on a page on your website, and what do you want the person to do here? Like, what do you want somebody to do when they're on this page? What is the exact
Yeah.
action that you think that they should take? It's always a good conversation because it gets the client thinking, right? So with the audit usually comes, now I don't know how many other companies do this, and I know that flick of a button to get you your audit to give you some sort of ABC score or some sort of 70 to 90% score seems like a good way to do it, but you kind of want to have the conversation after, right? Because the audit builds the roadmap. Because first when you audit things, first you look at what's broken, right? And then you look at what's working really well. And then you look at what's not working. And then you look at where the gaps are. And then you look at the competitors, what's working for them. Can you beat them? And it goes from there. So I love that the audit helps create the strategy, like just naturally, right? Um, what's your favorite audit?
Yeah. Well, and the other Well, I was going to build on that by saying that, like you said earlier about tough conversations that we've had to have with clients, one of the arguments that I'd heard and really take to heart when you're talking to clients about things that they're committed to, oh, you need to do this. You could just go to data and like see the analytics, and then you get an objective viewpoint that it's like, yeah, I totally get it. That's a great idea, but it's not working. And here's what we can see from the data.
Mhm.
And so that's a way that you can have an objective third party that is, what's actually being counted, being like measured, and then say like, I would love this to work, but right now it's not working. This is working. Let's double down on this.
Yeah.
Um, so it also helps with you to build an objective viewpoint of it. But to what you were saying about like audits, my favorite audits
Favorite.
like out of the gate is the Screaming Frog one. It's
Okay.
usually
Even though we're not renewing. Interesting.
yeah, it's the Screaming Frog one. It's a really good one.
I so funny
Yeah,
enough,
yeah, but well, because the renewing, it isn't,
it isn't.
oh, okay, sorry for the delay.
It's all good. It isn't.
Oh, the yeah, the license isn't as valuable as I was thinking.
Interesting, right? I think I mean, Google Ads audit's pretty good. I have learned. Um, I have been asked not to do an audit, uh, and I have said yes in the past with Google Ads, and because sometimes when you get into Google Ads, you generally know where some of the major issues are, even before you get into an account, because say the owner's doing it and the owner doesn't have the time to know the rules, and Google really tries to mess with you. So uh some I thought, oh, I don't have to do an audit. I already know I know that there's lots of problems. I did myself a disservice because for this one account, it was so big that when I tried to use a Google AdWords editor to, look at things more quickly, it took an hour to get the account information out. An hour. Because there was so much. So that was a huge lesson. I actually think every year we should do lessons like the stuff I wish I knew before, because every year it kind of changes as you grow, right? So I thought that would be a really fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not about audits. Now, my favorite audit is maybe the Google Ads. We do a stellar Google Analytics audit slash setup, which I don't think a lot of other companies do. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, but our clients don't know what we do when we're doing the audit and setup for Google Analytics, but it does really help us read the data, right? And them too, right, Phelan? So, um,
Yeah.
now we use a lot of spreadsheets for our audits, don't we? What other, like, we do manual stuff a lot. And we teach manual, which might not be everybody's favorite and takes more time, but man, do we know our stuff after that, right?
Yeah, oh, we found that anytime you use the tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush, they're just not detailed enough, especially for any local businesses. Their data sets just aren't as large as Google's. So you wind up having to use like we have a little VPN tool that we use for doing local searches, because that way we can, pretend to be in Calgary, we can pretend to be in San Diego, and it's easy for us to see what's actually going on that's getting triggered in the local snack pack.
Yeah. As local SEO takes the reins for some SEO, uh it's important to look at, your Google My Business too, right? For an audit. That's a good one. There's so much to be done in that platform that people are not utilizing. It's crazy phenomenal if you get business from organic, from the search engine results pages, and you can't pay for ads. It is like the business owner's secret weapon that people aren't using. So, doing audits and creating strategies in there seem to be helpful. So, yeah, audits create strategies, strategies create jobs, because then you have to implement the strategy. And the way we do it, so we'll do the audit, we do audit, measure, setup. Sometimes we combine them. Usually we have to do a measure setup to do the audit. So that's an interesting thing to have to deal with. And then we present a roadmap strategy, where the customer can take that strategy, go somewhere else, and have somebody implement it. Now, if we do our job really well and we want to work with the people, we do, sell ourselves a little in that we really want to do the work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very agreeable today. I think we're gonna work on getting better internet throughout the house, because this is we are not in a big city anymore.
Well, I'm gonna be, fixing the router right after this.
Are you?
the, the main takeaway from this one, just to cut down on the delay. Um,
You're back in full
yeah,
now.
and well, it comes and goes. It's the choice of it. So the yeah, there's a lot of auditing that I would recommend for people because no matter what, you're going to be doing some sort of digital marketing strategy and you want to find out what's working, what's driving traffic. You're going to want to know, rather than just throwing things at the wall, this is a way that you can kind of reflect on what actually worked. And so you can figure out what ad copy worked, what like all kinds of little details, and start working through which pages are getting you the most traffic, what's happening on those pages, is it doing the things you want, and it's just start building out your whole strategy around kind of reflecting on what's working. And again, in this world where it's going to be a mix of paid and free marketing, or not free per se, but no cost marketing. So
Time cost,
yeah,
right?
like
Time for
labor, like
your
it's
time or someone else's,
yeah,
right? So, because the a business's biggest problem is that enough people don't know about them, right? Because if enough people knew about the business, then you would get referrals, get other business. People would be filling out that contact us form, and
hopefully.
so yeah, it's true. After a while, that's what happens. Um, but if I'm a plumber or something like that, and I'm new to an area, well, people have to get to know me. So I build a website. And then after a year, I'm like, oh, I've built so much content. Like, I don't know. I'm just not getting the phone calls. That's where we come in, right? That's where the audit comes in, the beautiful audits. Now, Phelan, if we were going to direct somebody and say, hey, okay, so you're a business owner or you're a new marketer now, and you really want to get into this, you really want to figure out your own stuff, where can we send them to learn a little bit more and to start to feel more confident doing their own analysis? Because I think that's where we all get stuck a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think we do have some content about doing audits. I'm just trying to remember where it is. We'll leave a link to the landing page that I think we have a PDF for audits
Ooh. I
that we
think,
did as part of the class, because it was
yeah.
one of the last ones we did in the class was audits. So I think we have something for that. We'll
Mm,
try to provide a link, and we'll put it in the description, or not the description, the comments. Sorry, I'm just
right.
to use.
Right. No, fair. I also think so. If you're gonna start looking at your numbers, and say you have Google Analytics set up on your website, you have it, you don't really look at it, I would suggest logging in there and clicking around. What do I say? Click around and get down. Yeah, I know. Okay, it's so cheesy. Remember, I am a Generation X. I am a Generation X. That's why. I have some cheese. It's okay. Phelan, we're almost out of time. Do you have any last words or
Yeah.
helpful tips, advice, anything you want to share before we talk about what's happening next week? Okay, he is frozen.
Basically,
You're back.
I think I'm back. I'm back. Okay. So final words would be, definitely start with Screaming Frog. Really good starting off point. Getting the app and just running your website through it. See what's
It's a
working
little
for your on page
overwhelming.
SEO.
I like this. I can talk over you and you don't.
It's actually well, the good part about Screaming Frog is on the right hand side of the app. They'll tell you, you have X number of page titles that are too long, X number that are too short. Your meta descriptions are like, they're very good at telling you, like, is it working? And if it's not, they'll tell you what's wrong with it, and then you can click on that step, and then it will show you the actual titles and the pages that you need to fix. So it's actually very good for getting started.
Mm. Okay. Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Okay. We have 50 seconds left. After this, Phelan and I are going to teach a class on Google Analytics. So maybe that's why that was my recommendation. Uh, Depending on what kind of business you have, will depend on what kind of audits you want to do. And if you're a marketer, man, this is like bread and butter stuff. So if you have questions, make sure to message us here or in any of the social media platforms where we're streaming. If you don't know about us, we run a group called Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Yes, a long tongue twisting name, but super fun. So you can find us on Facebook in there, and that's where we all have chat ups all the time. And next week, Phelan, what's happening next Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time?
We'll be doing the wide world of marketing.
Ooh, and that's going to be a recap of all the different things that have changed in all the platforms that we work with. So Rena, Greg, and I and Phelan will all be here together to talk search, social, and websites. What's going on in the market? And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.